Welcome. You're here. And that's enough. Tonight, there's no need to think. No pressure to remember. No stories to chase. Only calm. You're going to hear a collection of slow, simple tales. Stories that wander. Stories that do not ask for your attention. Stories that are more quiet than clever. They are meant to bore you. To soften the noise of the day. To let your mind drift. Like a leaf on water. There are no twists. No loud surprises. Just gentle places. Soft people. And quiet moments. Let your body rest. Let your eyes get heavy. Let the day fall away. And if you fall asleep before the stories end, that's okay. That's the whole point. So now, take a slow breath in. And let it out. Again. And again. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. A Day in a Medieval Village. The year is 1273. In a small village nestled between low hills and overgrown fields, the sun begins to rise. Slowly, very slowly. Its pale light spills over thatched rooftops, crooked chimneys, and fences made from interwoven sticks. Dew clings to every blade of grass. The air smells faintly of damp straw, earth, and the previous day's smoke. Inside one of the smaller huts, a man named Edgar begins to stir. He is 53 years old, though he looks older. Time moves differently here, harder, slower. Edgar sleeps on a pile of straw wrapped in rough wool blankets. The straw pokes through, but he is used to it. He shares his sleeping space with his wife Mildred and occasionally their goat if it wanders in at night. The goat's name is irrelevant. Most people in the village do not name animals. Edgar rises. He stretches his back, hears it pop faintly, and rubs his hands together. They are calloused and cracked from years of work. He doesn't say anything. People don't talk much in the mornings. In the center of the hut, a small fire has burned down to embers. Mildred carefully stirs a pot of something warm and gray. It is oat porridge. It is always oat porridge. There is no salt today. There is rarely salt, but she has added some wild onion for flavor. Just one. They eat slowly, without hurry. Edgar chews 23 times per bite. This is not a conscious decision. It is simply what happens when you are not in a rush. After breakfast, Edgar puts on his tunic. It is made of wool, brown with patches that used to be other tunics. He ties a simple rope around his waist. It has 3 knots. One of them is decorative. He doesn't remember which one. He steps outside. The sun has risen slightly higher, but not much. The ground is damp. His boots sink just slightly into the mud, but not enough to cause awe. Today is a work day. So was yesterday. So is tomorrow. Edgar walks past his neighbor's hut. A chicken watches him pass. It does not move. It is not his chicken. He reaches the field. His ox Bram is already waiting. Bram is old. Bram smells. Bram moves slowly. Edgar attaches a wooden plow to Bram's harness. The leather straps creak. He begins to till the earth. One line, then another, then another. The soil is dry near the top but damp beneath. This is acceptable. Every so often, Edgar stops to drink water from a wooden flask. It tastes slightly of wood. Everything tastes slightly of wood. At midday, he returns home. Mildred has prepared more porridge, this time with a different onion. It is not better or worse, just different. The afternoon is spent repairing a fence. A stick has fallen out. He replaces it. It does not match the others. That is fine. By evening, the sky turns a soft grayish blue. Smoke rises from the chimneys. Children chase each other with sticks. No one is laughing, but no one is upset. Edgar sits on his stool, the same stool he has sat on for 19 years. It has 3 legs. It used to have 4, but he removed 1. For balance, he eats a final bowl of porridge. It is warm. There are no onions this time, just oats. He lies down on the straw pile once again. Mildred is already asleep. The goat is outside tonight. It is not cold enough to need it. He closes his eyes. And tomorrow, it will be the same. Chapter 2. Washing, Cleaning, and Medieval Laundry. It is morning again. The village is quiet, except for the sound of distant chickens and the occasional cough. Today is wash day. Wash day does not come often. Soap is rare. Water is heavy. Clothes are valuable. Most people only have 2 outfits, one to wear, one to wash. In the center of the village, beside a shallow stream, Mildred is kneeling. Her knees press into damp earth. It is not comfortable. She does not mind. Before her sits a large wooden tub. It is old, with iron bands. It leaks slightly at the bottom, but only when full. It is not full. She begins by fetching water with a clay jug. The jug is plain, brown, heavy when full. She fills the tub slowly, 1 jug at a time. It takes 6 jugs. To make soap, Mildred uses lye, which is made from ashes. She keeps ashes in a clay pot, covered to keep out the rain. She adds a handful to the water. The water turns gray. She stirs it with a stick. The stick used to be part of a fence. There is no pleasant smell. There are no flowers, just the scent of wet wool and old wood. She places a tunic into the tub. It belongs to Edgar. It is brown. She pushes it down with her hands. She rubs the fabric together. She adds more ashes. It does not foam. Scrubbing takes time. The fabric is thick. She inspects the armpits. There is a stain. She sighs. It will stay. She washes undergarments next. They are made of linen. The linen is off-white, though no longer white. It is cleaner now than before. That is enough. Once each piece is washed, she lifts it from the tub. Water drips slowly. It falls back into the murky tub with a dull plop. She wrings each garment by hand. There is no wringer. There is no press. Only hands. Each item is carried carefully to the drying line. The line is made of twine, stretched between 2 posts. One post leans slightly to the left. It has always leaned. The garments are hung with wooden pegs. The pegs are mismatched. Some are smooth, others chipped. They do their job. The sun is weak today. Drying will take time, possibly until tomorrow. While waiting, Mildred returns to the tub. She empties the water. Slowly, carefully, she dumps the gray water onto the compost pile. The tub is rinsed with fresh water. Once, not twice. She leans it against the house to dry. The jug is placed upside down. It might rain. Back inside the hut, she wipes the table with a damp cloth. She sweeps the dirt floor with a bundle of dried twigs. The hut smells faintly of smoke and soap ash. There is a sense of accomplishment, but only a small one. After all, the clothes are only somewhat clean. They will be worn again tomorrow, and the process will repeat in about 8 days. Give or take. Chapter 3. What did they eat? A very plain menu. It is late morning. The air is cool and still. In the distance, someone is chopping wood. Closer by, a pot of something begins to bubble slowly. The smell is familiar. It is not exciting, but it is food. In the medieval village, food is simple, very simple. There is no sugar, no spices, no variety, but there is bread. The bread is made from rye. It is coarse. It is dense. It is dark. Sometimes it has bits of grit in it from the grinding stone. Everyone has chipped a tooth at some point. No one talks about it. The bread is sliced with a small knife. Each person has their own knife. There are no forks, only knives and hands. Sometimes a wooden spoon. With the bread, there is pottage. Pottage is everything. It is made from water, oats, beans, turnips, and cabbage when available. It is cooked slowly over a fire that never quite goes out. It is thick. It is warm. Sometimes it is yesterday's pottage reheated. If someone is lucky, there is a piece of salted meat. Pork, if a pig was slaughtered recently. But usually there is no meat. The village has chickens, but eggs are rare. Chickens lay when they feel like it. Sometimes they don't. Fish might come from the stream, but not today. It rained last night and the stream is muddy. No one wants to bother. To drink, there is small ale. It is weak. It is safer than water. Children drink it too. There is not enough alcohol to notice. On feast days, there is cheese. Hard cheese. Salty cheese. It squeaks slightly when chewed. This is considered a good sign. No one eats alone. Meals are eaten in silence or in soft murmurs. Words are used sparingly. Conversation is not part of the meal. Chewing is the main activity. After eating, bowls are wiped with bread. Then the bread is eaten. There is no waste. Leftovers are kept in a wooden box, sometimes covered with a cloth, sometimes not. The midday meal is done. The next meal will be the same. Chapter 4, Professions that no one talks about. The medieval village appears simple. There are farmers, there are bakers, there is the blacksmith. These roles are seen, known, expected. But there are others, less visible, less spoken of, yet still necessary. One such person is Wilma, the ditch digger. Wilma does not complain. She digs. Rain or shine, summer or frost. Ditches must be dug to move water, to mark boundaries, to drain latrines. She uses a spade made from ash, wood, and iron. It is not sharp. It does not need to be. Each ditch is slow. She measures by footstep. She works in silence. When she finishes a ditch, no one celebrates. But water flows more easily. That is enough. Then there is Garin the rat catcher. No one likes Garin, but everyone needs him. He smells of smoke and vinegar. He keeps a sack filled with dried herbs and 3 traps made of bent wire. His fingers are missing the top parts. He places traps under floorboards, behind barns, near grain stores. He is paid in bread and grudging nods. When he catches a large rat, he hangs it from a post. As a warning, not to the rats, to the people. There is also Hild the tooth puller. She is not a doctor. There are no doctors. She has a pair of iron tongs and a steady hand. She works in the corner of the tavern, near the fire, for light. There is no numbing, no preparation, only strong ale and a rope to bite. Hilde removes 1 tooth every Thursday. On some weeks, 2, the villagers line up, not to speak with her, but because pain forces them to. She hums while she works. No one knows the tune. Further from the village, in a hut by the edge of the woods, lives Arnulf the tanner. Arnulf works with skins, goat, cow, occasionally deer. The smell of his hut is overwhelming. Even birds avoid the roof. He uses urine and lime. He scrapes hides for hours, then leaves them in pits for days. The leather he makes is strong, durable, somewhat yellow. No one visits him unless they need a belt, or a sheath, or shoes. He speaks only in 1-word sentences. He is satisfied with that. These professions are not glamorous. They are not praised, but they are part of the village. Always have been, always will be. Chapter 5, Medieval Timekeeping. How they knew it was Tuesday. In the village, there are no clocks, no bells on the hour, no glowing numbers, no ticking. Time is not measured in minutes. It is measured in light, in tasks, and in habits. Still, somehow, they always seem to know when it's Tuesday. Morning begins with light. When the rooster crows, though not always at the right time, when the mist begins to rise, when shadows fall long across the path to the well, the first meal is eaten when the fire is ready, not when a bell chimes. Work begins after that. plowing, thatching, hauling, depending on the season. Depending on the mood of the ox, by midday, the sun stands above the blacksmith's hut. Its shadow is short, barely there. That is when they know time for the second meal. Again, there is no hurry. No one ever says it's 12 o'clock. Instead, they say it's about the sun high. The week is remembered by events, not by numbers. Monday is for mending. Tuesday is for trading if there's a market. Wednesday is for washing. Thursday is for wood. Friday is for fasting. Saturday is for sweeping. Sunday is for church, unless it rains. Then Sunday is for listening to rain drip through the roof. On Tuesday, a man named Reeve walks the path from house to house. He carries a ledger made of wooden tablets. He counts sacks of grain, not hours. If he knocks on your door, it is Tuesday. If he does not, it is not. Night comes gradually. The sky dims. Candles are lit if you have any. More often, it is just the fire. No one says it's 8 p.m. They say, time to bank the coals. Or, the chickens are roosting. Bedtime is when your back hurts. Or when the oil runs out. Whichever comes first. Sometimes, the priest rings a bell. He says it marks the hour of prayer. But few know what hour it is. They bow their heads anyway, because it feels right. So when someone says, tomorrow's Tuesday, no one checks the calendar. No one asks, which Tuesday? They simply nod and get the grain ready. Chapter 6. The Silent Art of Making Rope. There is a long field at the edge of the village. No one plants food there. No animals graze there. It is reserved for rope. Rope does not grow, of course. But the plants used to make rope hemp and flax dough. Every spring, the field is sown by hand. A quiet task. Seeds are scattered, not lined. The wind decides where they fall. By midsummer, the stalks stand waist high. Thin, green, swaying slowly. They are not beautiful. They are not meant to be. When harvested, the stalks are cut close to the ground, one by one, stacked in bundles, left to dry in the sun until they rattle when shaken. Drying takes several days, sometimes longer if it rains. Often it rains. Once dry, the stalks are soaked in water, in pits, for days. The smell is unforgettable, but no one speaks of it. They simply wrinkle their noses and continue. This process is called retting. It softens the inner fibers. When retting is done, the stalks are beaten with wooden mallets. Not quickly, not violently, just enough. Fibers are then separated by hand, pulled, combed, smoothed. Each handful becomes a thin, stringy mass ready to be twisted. The twisting is done by Elric, the village rope maker. He is tall, quiet. He speaks only when he needs to. He has a dog. The dog is also quiet. Elric uses a simple tool, a spinning hook attached to a post. He ties fibers together, twists slowly, carefully. One hand feeds in new fiber. The other keeps the twist tight. He walks backward down a long wooden plank. Step by step, the rope forms behind him, like a tail. Thick, coarse, useful. Rope is used for everything. Buckets, wells, tying sacks, securing roofs, even holding up trousers. Without rope, the village would slowly fall apart. Yet no one ever says that is good rope. They simply use it. And when it frays, they ask Elric for more. He nods and returns to the field. Chapter 7. The Dusty Life of the Village Scribe. In a small stone room behind the church lives the scribe. His name is Tomas, but most people just call him the one with ink on his fingers. Tomas sits on a bench. The bench is hard. He has sat on it for 17 years. His desk is a slab of wood, slanted, scratched. stained with ink, wax, and a little dried soup from last winter. On the desk lies a quill. It was once part of a goose. The goose is no longer discussed. Tomas writes things, mostly things no one reads. He copies lists. Who owns which sheep? Who borrowed which plow? Who didn't show up to church for 3 Sundays in a row? He writes slowly, letter by letter, each line straight, each curl deliberate. He dips the quill into a small clay pot. The ink is made from oak galls, iron, and vinegar. It smells sharp, but not unpleasant. He blows gently on the parchment, then keeps writing. Sometimes he is asked to write letters to people in other towns, sometimes even other villages, but few people can read. So he reads the letters aloud too, in a monotone voice, like someone naming vegetables. Tomas wears a brown robe. He has 1 pair of shoes. They are soft from use, not design. He speaks rarely. When he does, it's with precision. Each word is chosen carefully, like ink on parchment. The room has 1 window. It lets in light, but not wind. Dust floats in the beams. It settles on scrolls, books, shelves, everything. Once a week, he wipes it away. With a piece of cloth that used to be part of a curtain, no one remembers which curtain. At night, Tomas lights a candle. He continues writing. He will copy 3 more lines before sleep. The words don't matter. The shape of the letters does. Outside, the village sleeps. Inside, the scribe continues. Chapter 8. Village illnesses and their very strange cures. Illness visits the village often. It does not ask permission. It comes quietly, sometimes with fever, sometimes with a cough. There is no doctor. There is no hospital. Only the healer, or the wise woman, or sometimes the village priest. The healer's name is Marga. She knows herbs. Some people say she knows magic. Most just say she knows plants. Marga has a small hut filled with jars, dried leaves, roots, powders. Some smell sweet. Others smell like dirt. When someone is sick, they come to Marga. She listens to their cough. She looks at their tongue. She asks about dreams. Then she makes a potion. Sometimes it bubbles. Sometimes it smells awful. One common illness is the fever. People sweat and shake. They lie still. They do not eat. Marga's cure for fever is strange. She brews a tea made from willow bark and chamomile. The patient must sip it slowly. They must not speak while drinking. And they must wear a necklace made from garlic cloves. For coughs, Marga uses honey mixed with crushed sage. The honey soothes. The sage calms the throat. Children often cry because it tastes bitter, but they drink it anyway. When a broken bone occurs, the village priest may step in. He will bind the limb tightly with linen cloth. He says prayers. He anoints the skin with oil. No one knows if it helps, but everyone hopes it does. Sometimes, Marga tries strange cures. She may place a live frog on the patient's chest. She says it draws out the sickness. The frog often jumps away, unharmed. Or she may wrap the patient in nettles. The sting is supposed to shock the body. People tolerate it because, well, what else can they do? Sickness is part of life. It slows the village, but it never stops it. They make their rope because tomorrow the sun will rise again.
Gear Chapter 9, The Quiet Work of the Millstone Grinder. At the far end of the village, near the slow river, stands the mill house. It leans slightly. Its roof is mossy. Its door creaks. But it still works. Inside lives Arnulf, the millstone grinder. He is thin. Always covered in flour dust. Even his eyelashes are pale with powder. He speaks slowly. If at all. Arnulf's job is simple. But never finished. He grinds grain into flour. Wheat. Rye. sometimes barley. If the harvest is good. If the weather allows. The grain is poured into the top of the mill. The stones below turn. Slowly. Relentlessly. One stone is fixed. The other spins. Grain falls between them. And becomes powder. The grinding stones are heavy. Heavier than a cow. Made of granite. Shipped from somewhere no one remembers. Arnulf checks them every day. He listens. Not to the river, but to the stones. If the grind sounds too sharp, the stones are too close. If the grind sounds too soft, the stones are too far. He adjusts with wooden wedges and silent patience. He never hurries. Haste ruins flour. It scorches it. It makes it bitter. Instead, he waits. Grain in. Stone turns. Flour out. He sifts it through a screen. Once. Twice. Sometimes 3 times. He nods to himself. He scoops the flour into sacks. The sacks are tied with rope. From Elric, of course. Every family brings their grain. They wait their turn. No one complains. Because everyone knows, grinding takes time. Children watch, wide-eyed. As the wheel spins. As flour falls like soft snow. Arnulf does not smile. But he does not scowl either. He simply works. At night, the wheel stops. But the dust remains in the air. Floating. Settling. Onto stones, shelves, and Arnulf himself. He eats alone. Usually bread. Made from flour he ground himself. He tears it slowly. Chews it slowly. The same way he works. Outside, the river continues to flow. Soft. Steady. Forgettable. Just like the mill. Just like Arnulf. Just like time. Bell Chapter 10, Why the Village Bells Rarely Ring. At the center of the village stands a small stone tower. It is square. Unpainted. Its stones are rough. They were stacked by hand, long ago. At the top hangs a single bell. It is made of bronze. Green with age. Cracked slightly on the edge. But it still rings. Just, not very often. The bell has no name. Though some call it Bold Ear. No one remembers why. Probably because it listens more than it speaks. The bell is connected to a thick rope. The rope runs down the tower. Through a hole in the floor. To a dark little room. That is where the ringer sits. Or stands. Or waits. The bell rings for 3 reasons. 1. Sunday morning. To remind the village that prayer is important. Even if they already know. 2. When someone is born. 1 soft ring. A pause. Then silence. 3. When someone dies. 3 slow tolls. No more, no less. Then silence again. It does not ring for weddings. Or storms. Or visiting nobles. Only for life. And the end of it. The man who rings the bell is named Iwan. He is old. He walks with a limp. No one remembers when he started ringing the bell. No one remembers a time he didn't. He lives in a small cottage next to the tower. He grows onions. He feeds crows. He keeps to himself. When the bell must be rung, Iwan does not hurry. He climbs the narrow stair. Hand on the wall. Step by step. He pulls the rope once. Then waits. The sound rolls over the rooftops. Soft. Heavy. Final. He pulls again. Waits again. Pulls once more. Then returns to his cottage. and peels onions. When there is no need to ring the bell. The tower is silent. Children play around it. Birds rest on the ledge. Dust collects on the steps. The silence is not sadness. It is peace. It is stillness. It is enough. And so the bell waits. Above a quiet village. Where things change slowly. If at all. Candle Chapter 11, The Life of a Candle Maker. In the east corner of the village. Near a crooked fence. Lives the candle maker. Her name is Brita. She is short. Wears a gray apron. Smells faintly of tallow. Brita does not speak often. Only when spoken to. And even then. Her words are like her candles. Simple, quiet, steady. Her workshop is made of wood. The door sticks in summer. The windows rattle in the wind. Inside, there are shelves. On the shelves, candles. Long ones. Short ones. Thick, squat ones. Twisted ones. Most are pale yellow. Some are white. Very few are ever blue. Brita begins work before sunrise. She heats the wax. It melts slowly. Never boiling. Just warm enough to flow. She dips the wick. Then waits. Then dips again. Again. And again. And again. Each candle takes time. No two are exactly the same. But they all burn the same. Steadily, without complaint. The wicks are made from flax. Spun by her sister. Cut with a dull knife. Tied with calm hands. The villagers come to Brita when the days grow shorter. They buy candles in silence. Sometimes they nod. Sometimes they leave coins on the shelf. No one haggles. Because light is not something to bargain for. Brita marks the bottoms with tiny scratches. 1 line means it burns for 2 hours. 2 lines, 4 hours. 3 lines, the whole night. She never promises more. At night, her cottage glows. Not brightly. Just enough to see the floor. Enough to see steam rise from her tea. She eats soup. Sometimes bread. Sometimes nothing. Then she watches her candle burn. Until sleep finds her. Candles do not rush. They do not shout. They simply give what they can. Until they disappear. Like Brita. Like days. Like everything else. Person walking Chapter 12, The Unchanging Path Between the Fields. There is a path. It leads from the village square. To the edge of the wheat fields. It is not paved. Not marked on any map. But everyone knows it. Children walk it. Farmers walk it. Even stray dogs follow it. It is a quiet path. In spring, the ground is soft. Boots sink slightly. There are puddles. The puddles reflect the sky. Sometimes upside down. In summer, the path is dry. Dust lifts with each step. The wheat brushes against your legs. It whispers, but says nothing. In autumn, the path is golden. Leaves fall. But not many. Just enough to notice. In winter, the path is still there. Covered in frost. Marked by footprints. Sometimes fox tracks. Sometimes none. The path passes 3 things. A leaning fence post. No one remembers what it once held. A flat stone, half buried. Children used to jump over it. Now they walk around. A tree stump, blackened. It burned long ago. No one talks about it. They just nod as they pass. The path never changes. But people do. Old men once walked it with scythes. Now boys run down it with sticks. Sometimes, someone walks it alone. Head down. Hands in pockets. Thinking of nothing in particular. Sometimes the wind comes down the path. It brings smells from the village. Bread, smoke, laundry. Other times, it brings only silence. The sun always touches the path last. As it sets, the light stretches. Long shadows. Soft gold. Everything becomes slower. Even the birds. At night, the path becomes just earth. No one walks it. Not even Brita. Not even Arnulf. But in the morning, it is still there. Just like yesterday. Just like always. And someone, somewhere, will walk it again.
Chapter 13, The Forgotten Corner of the Village. There is a place at the edge of the village, where no one goes. Not often. Not with purpose. It sits behind the carpenter's shed. Past the old well. Beside a crooked tree. They call it the Forgotten Corner. Not because it is cursed. Not because it is haunted. But because it is unnecessary. Grass grows taller here. Not wildly. Just lazily. There are 3 broken barrels. One missing its bottom. One filled with rainwater. One filled with nothing. There's a bench. No one sits on it. It leans too far to the left. It creaks even when no one is there. Sometimes, old tools are left here. Bent forks. Cracked buckets. Handles with no heads. Heads with no handles. They are never stolen. No one wants them. A cat once gave birth here. 4 kittens. 2 orange. 2 gray. They're all grown now. The mother never came back. But the corner remembers. Moss grows on the northern wall. It spreads slowly. Greener in the rain. Browner in the heat. The wall is part of an old house. Long torn down. Only this piece remains. A wall with no purpose. Just standing there. Sometimes, children explore it. Only once. They come back covered in dust. Pockets full of rusty nails. Eyes a little tired. They do not return. In the summer, bees come. Not many. Just a few. They hover over the rain barrel. Then leave. In winter, frost settles here early. And melts late. As if time itself is slower. In this one forgotten space. No one cleans it. No one claims it. And yet, it stays. Unbothered. Unimproved. Unchanged. Not every part of a village is meant to be useful. Some places simply exist. Quietly. Softly. Just waiting. Chapter 14, The Shoemaker's Unfinished Boots. His name is Willem. He is the only shoemaker in the village. He has always been the only shoemaker. And probably always will be. Willem lives alone. In a narrow house. Next to the baker's back door. He doesn't bake. He doesn't eat much bread. But he does smell faintly of leather. Every morning, he opens his window. The hinges squeak. He doesn't oil them. He says it's how he knows the day has begun. Then he boils water. Washes his hands. Sharpens his blade.
even if he doesn't use it. His workshop is filled with shoes. New ones. Old ones. Single shoes, missing their pair. Pairs, missing their owner. Most of all, boots. Half-built boots. Uppers without soles. Soles without shape. Laces cut but not threaded. Dust collects on the shelves. But never on his bench. There is one pair Willem never finishes. They sit in the corner. Always in the same place. The leather is good. Dark brown. Soft but strong. He cuts a piece. Then waits. He stitches one side. Then waits again. He doesn't explain why. No one asks. Villagers bring him shoes to mend. He does it well. Silently. Quickly. But he never finishes those boots. Some say they were for a traveler who never returned. Others say they were for Willem himself. Shoes for a journey he never took. Willem just smiles. Or doesn't. It's hard to tell. At night, he places a cloth over the boots. Not to hide them. Just to keep them warm. Then he sleeps. Facing the boots. Back straight. Hands folded. Years pass. Soles wear thin. Children grow. But the boots stay unfinished. Not broken. Not forgotten. Just waiting. Like Willem. Like stories never told. Like dreams never walked. Chapter 15, The Clock That Lost Its Tick. In the hallway of the old meeting house. Just above the coat rack. Hangs a clock. A large one. Wooden frame. Glass face. Roman numerals, though no one reads them. The hands still move. But the clock no longer ticks. It stopped ticking years ago. No one knows why. It didn't fall. It wasn't dropped. It simply fell silent. Some thought the spring had snapped. Others blamed the cold. But no one fixed it. No one tried. Because it still shows time. Mostly. It's always off by a few minutes. Sometimes 5. Sometimes 7. Never 10. Never exact. The mayor once said. It's still close enough. So the clock stayed. The silence stayed. Every week, someone wins it. Usually the caretaker. Sometimes her son. Sometimes no one. Yet it keeps going. Quietly. No tick. No talk. Just motion. Children stand beneath it. They look up. They ask why it's so quiet. The adults say, it's thinking. The children believe them. Then forget. On rainy days, the meeting house smells of old coats. Wet wool. Dusty floorboards. And the silent clock, watching. Once, a visitor offered to repair it. He had tools. He wore glasses. But the villagers said no. They had grown used to the silence. Trusted it. Ticking meant change. Talking meant time passing too loudly. Now, the silence means peace. The clock doesn't complain. It never did. It simply turns its hands. Minute by minute. Hour by hour. Without sound. Without rush. Without need. And so the clock remains. Above the coats. Above the children. Above the years. Telling time that no one really needs to know. But always, quietly, showing it anyway. Chapter 16, The Blanket That Was Never Folded. In the far room of the smallest house. Past the kitchen. Past the crooked door. On a wooden chair beside the hearth. Rests a blanket. It is wool. It is old. And it is never folded. Not once in 40 years. It is gray, mostly. With lines of faded blue. Worn thin at the edges. Softer in the middle. Smells like ash and lavender. The blanket belonged to Mira. She made it herself. Before her hands trembled. Before the winters felt colder. She never put it away. It stayed on the chair. Always ready. Always there. When her knees ached. She pulled it over her legs. When the dog was scared of thunder. He hid beneath it. When her grandson visited. He napped under it. Clutching one corner in his sleep. It was never washed. Not because she forgot. But because it would forget her scent. And it was never folded. Because folded things feel finished. And Mira was not finished. After Mira passed. No one moved it. Not the daughter. Not the neighbor. Not the boy who bought the house. The blanket remained. Now it lies just the same. Soft. Still warm when touched. But no one touches it often. People glance at it. They nod. They understand. Though no one says why. Seasons change around it. Snow falls. Leaves scatter. Rain taps against the windows. But the blanket stays. Unfolded. Unbothered. Unforgotten. Because some things aren't meant to be put away. Some warmth is meant to be waiting. Always. Like the last light before sleep. Like a story told slowly. Like the silence at the end of a quiet song. Chapter 17, The Lantern That Never Went Out. In the narrow alley between the weaver's house and the stone wall no one built, there hangs a lantern. It is not new. It is not grand. But it is always lit. No one remembers who first placed it there. Some say it was the baker's father. Others say it was the mayor's uncle. Or maybe it was just always there. That feels more true. The lantern is small. Iron frame. Glass fogged by time. Inside, a flame, steady. Not bright. But never gone. It flickers. But never fades. The alley serves no purpose. No shops. No shortcuts. No doors. But still, the lantern stays. On stormy nights. The wind howls past. But the flame stays. In deep winter. Frost wraps the glass. But the light glows. Even in thick fog. When the rest of the village forgets itself. The lantern remembers. Children dare each other to walk past it. It is not haunted. But it hums softly. As if whispering to itself. They never touch it. They just look. And walk quietly by. Sometimes someone places a stone beneath it. Or a button. Or a folded piece of paper with no writing. Little offerings. Small acknowledgments. The weaver once said. It's lit so that we never forget where we are. Even when we feel lost. Then she kept weaving. No one cleans the lantern. No one refills it. Yet it burns. Perhaps it feeds on memory. Or quiet. Or hope. Whatever it is enough. And so the lantern stays. Soft flame. Silent watcher. Unneeded. But never unwanted. Some nights, when sleep is slow to come, someone will walk past it, just to see that it's still there. Still glowing. Still patient. Still never out. Chapter 18, The Spoon Drawer That Never Closed. In the kitchen of a house that always smells like boiled potatoes, there is a drawer. The second one from the left. Just beneath the chipped blue counter. It holds spoons. Only spoons. Nothing else. No forks. No knives. No mystery. Just spoons. The drawer never shuts all the way. Not broken. Just, content to remain slightly open. Someone once tried to fix it. They pushed harder. It creaked and slid halfway closed. But the next morning, it had crept open again. Just a little. Just enough. Inside. Tea spoons. Soup spoons. A large wooden spoon with a crack down the middle. Some are mismatched. Some are old. Some still shiny. Because no one ever uses them. Every morning, someone opens the drawer. Even if they don't need a spoon. It's habit. Like saying hello to an old friend. They look inside. They nod. They let it be. Sometimes, when the wind is right, the drawer opens wider by itself. No sound. No rush. Just a slow slide. As if the spoons are stretching. Visitors ask. Why doesn't it close? The answer is always the same. It just doesn't. And that's enough. Once, a child placed a small rock inside the drawer. The spoons didn't mind. Now the rock lives there too. Next to a bent one from the war years. And one shaped like a tiny shell. At night, when the house is still, you can sometimes hear the faint clink of metal. Not loud. Not often. As though the spoons are telling each other slow stories. In a language made of echoes. And in the morning, the drawer remains ajar. Never wide open. Never quite closed. Always ready. Always home. Chapter 20, The Shoes That Waited by the Door. By the back door of a small, square house. Under the wooden bench with one missing leg. Sat a pair of shoes. Old leather. Brown, with cracked seams. Laces knotted from habit. Not function. They weren't special shoes. Not hiking shoes. Not dancing shoes. Just, shoes. The kind you wear every day. Then forget. They belonged to Arthur. He wore them every morning. To walk around the garden. To get the mail. To bring in firewood he never used. He never wore them past noon. When Arthur passed, no one moved the shoes. They just sat there. Facing out. Like they were still waiting. For one more stroll. Down the gravel path. People passed by. They noticed. They said things like, "We should probably donate those." Or, "He wouldn't mind." But no one did. Sometimes the shoes shifted. A toe pointed slightly more left. A heel pushed a bit inward. The wind, maybe. Or memory. A cat once curled beside them. A child tried them on and laughed. But still, they waited. They waited through rain. Dust. A little mold. And one strange winter. Where it didn't snow. But still felt cold. Every now and then. Someone would sit on the bench. And tie their own shoes beside them. But Arthur's shoes remained untouched. Like sentinels. Like punctuation at the end of a long, quiet sentence. Years passed. New coats were hung nearby. New owners came and went. The shoes stayed. Not because they mattered. But because they didn't demand to. They simply waited. By the door. As if the day was still just beginning. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, your brain deserves a rest. Subscribe for more sleep-inducing stories every week. Let the boredom carry you into deep sleep.